So the Moorcrofts, I think we started with the Herefords in 1898. We brought our first over. When I say we, I mean George John Moorcroft brought his first cattle over to the top of Plaas. So we're going on to nearly 125 years as the Moorcrofts in the country breeding Herefords in South Africa. My grandfather came into this district, the Queenstown district, in the 50s, where they started the Syferpan. They started the Syferpan herd then. We tend to find that they do quite a lot easier than some of the other breeds that we have tried in the past. This area specifically is quite a sweet felt area, so availability of food in the winter months does get a little bit scarce, but the cattle tend to do quite well. They're very, very good converters, so what they are getting out of the veld, they are turning over very, very well. We get quite harsh winters here. I know it doesn't seem like it, but we get very harsh winters and quite hot and wet summers. And yeah, they tend to do a hell of a lot better in those very harsh winters because they adapt very, very easily to the cold, and then to the heat they lose their coats quite quickly. I think it's maybe that these have just adapted to the district itself. They've been here for so long. But yeah, they just generally do a lot better than what breeds that have been tried in the past and sort of have been phased out. We had a very, very obviously extreme drought here, and yeah, the cattle, they managed to get themselves through it. They've survived that, and yeah, I mean, with the good season that we've had now, they've just sort of flourished and kicked on after that. We tend to try and keep it as extensive as possible, even with the stud cows. We run them as a commercial herd, if you want to call it that. We do a summer lick program with a P6 in the summers, in the green months. Going into winter now, we're going into autumn and winter, we'll start using a protein lick. We normally go for about between 40 and 45% protein winter lick, and then coming up to calving, we'll, especially with the younger heifers coming up to calving and mating, we'll then use a production lick, like a 30%, 25% production lick going into those months. Production sale is on the 1st of September. It's coming up now. We're quite happy with the group of bulls that are coming through now. I think on sale day they'll be testament to what we as Syferpan have sort of strived in the past to produce, and these guys that are coming onto the sale in September will be probably some of the better ones we've probably produced in the last few years. So if she can give us a calf every year, then she gets to stay on the farm. Obviously, you got to pay rent if you want to live on this farm. Other than that, we've got our breeding over the years. Obviously, we've bred for that, so we find that they are quite a lot. They're very, very fertile, these cows, and if they give us a calf, we give them another chance, and until such day that they don't, and then you're gonna leave the farm. Yeah. For us, fertility is probably the biggest trait, the biggest or the most important trait. So if a cow can calve every year and be within an RCP of that year, we're going to try and keep it as close to 365 days as we can, then that's what we look for in a cow. She's obviously the last few years with the drought we have slackened a bit, because we physically had no food. We'd been feeding roughage that we were buying in from all over the place. We just didn't have the food and didn't have the nutrition to keep the cows in even a mateable state. We just try to keep them alive. So in the drought years, we have sort of given them a bit of a chance, but I think most of them haven't needed that chance. Most of the cows have come through that drought very well, and they've kept their calves, and they've kept calving every year. So we run a stud herd, a small nucleus stud herd, and then a Hereford commercial herd, a pure Hereford commercial herd, obviously coming from those original lines, and then we have a crossbred commercial herd. We cross with the Anguses, and then obviously in the past we have used Brahmins, or we've crossed onto Brahmin cows as well, and yeah, we run quite a good little crossbred baldy herd. The black and white, they tend to be very, very good easy doers, and also tend to have the fertility that the Herefords the Herefords have. You're getting the best of the Angus and the Herefords, and yeah, we're quite happy with using them in any sort of crossbreed program that we have used in the past. The Herefords, especially using them as a sire, tend to come out on top of those Hereford crosses. We always talk about hybrid vigour. Herefords tend to bring a little bit of milk to the table, so that does help with your calves, your growth from when they're little right through to weaning. You tend to be slightly heavier on the weaning side, and right across the board they just tend to be very good mothers.